Welcome back, Fragrance Fiend here today with I Don't Know What by DS and Durga, the fragrance enhancer released in 2018. In case you didn't already know, a fragrance enhancer is essentially a very minimalistic fragrance with either the notes of ambrox and isoe super, sometimes a few other little molecules, which were mostly inspired by the original ingredient ambergris. This is actually my first review of a DS and Durga fragrance. I think they're a really brilliant brand. The founder, as far as I'm aware, doesn't have really a formal background in perfumery, which really makes everything they create super unique without any artistic limitations. Also known as layering fragrances, it all really began with Molecule 01, and also made even more popular by the brand Labo with their Another 13, which is still making waves today. And I will say it now, I absolutely love molecular-based fragrances. My latest of the collection is Luca by Soulaigneau, also known by Troye Sivan's brand. As someone who used to wear the most complex, overbearing perfumes, I've really done a full 180 and really like my minimalistic perfumes, which still do have a level of substance and obviously quality as well. And this is no exception. So as you can probably see, yes, I do have a full bottle here. I have tried and tested this one very thoroughly, just in case you're thinking I'm basing this one off a bit of a first impression. But anyway, let's get into the note breakdown. In the top, you have Bergamot essence, yes, that's real bergamot, with a heart of isoe super, which is obviously what the fragrance is built around, and vetiver acetate, lastly with a base of civettone, firsantol, and ambrox super. So let's give it a spray. Also really appreciate that cap, which really does click into place. It is not going anywhere. Really something satisfying about that click. And the atomizer, I like it. You can really see that the particles of the mist are absolutely a little larger than, say, my recent video reviewing Dead Cool. This allows it to have a bit more moisture when you actually put it on the skin, so that when you do actually layer it with something else, it's actually going to cling together a lot more easier in contrast. There's just something so satisfying about that scent profile, how it's so clean, fresh, and light. Yes, there's definitely a tiny bit of a crossover with a lot of molecular-based fragrances. However, every now and then some try to distinguish themselves from one another. I mean, you take Another 13, it has a sprinkle of jasmine, some pear, to Luca with its woods and spice, or any of the +1 range by Molecule. So you absolutely get a tiny bit of bergamot in the opening. Don't expect a citrus-based fragrance or anything. Obviously, without a doubt, the fragrance is built around isoe super, and that's what you absolutely get in that opening and most of the dry down as well. Once again, the intended purpose of this type of fragrance is to actually layer it with another fragrance to help its longevity and even bring out other facets of that fragrance. I personally did not actually buy it for this reason. I actually do quite like wearing it by itself. So yeah, as expected, there's not really a massive difference between the top and heart, as it is a linear fragrance. As the fragrance begins to dry down, you do get a bit more of that civettone, which is known for that musky powderiness, and provides a very mild animalic tonality, but not what most people consider animalic. And the firsantol is obviously sandalwood. This does add that mild creaminess and woodiness as well, so honestly it's a isoe super fragrance with a woody, musky dry down. That's simply what it is. And then you have ambrox super, which is only actually invented in 2016. This is a lot more closely related scent-wise to ambergris. As for the longevity, it's always so hard to judge, as you will go an osmometer to it, sometimes after 5 minutes, sometimes after maybe half an hour to an hour, but people will be able to smell you all day and beyond. So I have had to measure this based on other people's comments, and I believe it was about 8 hours that I received a compliment on the scent. I have tried asking people after that 8-hour mark if they can still smell it on my wrist, and most people didn't really pick it up, but I'm going to base it off that 8-hour interaction, and this will heavily vary person by person as well. Now to the downfall. Unfortunately, this one is a little more pricier, sitting at $291 for 50ml or $430 for 100ml. You can get a lot of the other counterparts for much cheaper, but for $120 less, I rely on my trusty Luca as well. I think this is incredible. The DNA feels about 85% similar, but really this does come down to personal preference and branding, like who would you rather support, because a lot of them are built structurally the same. So if you haven't already, definitely give this one a shot. I have laid it with other fragrances, and I do find that it does help with the more lighter, fresher, more natural perfumes, which sometimes don't have as much longevity opposed to your more synthetic ones. Personally, I love layering this one over Fierce by Abercrombie & Fitch, and that honestly does make it last all day, what so many people call a half-an-hour fragrance. I can now get all day longevity out of it. But anyway, that's all for today's video. Thank you again so much for watching. I may eventually make a ranking video on all the different molecular-based fragrances, but for now, I'll leave you with that. I'll see you next time.